Day one of free agency is in the books, and while the Chicago Bulls did re-sign Zach Collins, it was a quiet day around the entire NBA for day one of free agency. One of the more quiet days in a while. We're talking about both those things and what the Chicago Bulls, who players the Chicago Bulls can still target in free agency on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That is Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host, creator of Chicago Bulls, Central Chicago Bears, Central YouTube pages, and podcasts. Pat, day one of free agency is on the board. And I guess it's not fair to say the only move that Bryson Graham made was re-signing Zach Collins, because we also waived Cam Jones to create.
We did waive Cam Jones. I mean, there was people losing their minds over there.
Let's start there, Pat. We're gonna talk about the Zach Collins signing, but I really do feel like sometimes, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not gonna dive into Petty Roosevelt territory. This is just a legitimate question. Why do Bulls fans only listen halfway to things? Like why? Like, for example, Bryson Graham, I went back and looked at it. He said we'd be open to taking on bad salary. That's it. It was a question he was asked. He said that. So many Bulls fans are acting like that's the only thing that he said, and now that it hasn't happened, the world's ending. Or like Slap. He mentioned Slap, specifically said in Slap, oh, a player doesn't have to be fit Slap to be good for us necessarily. So many Bulls fans, oh, they don't fit Slap. No Slap. We can't sign him. Why do people only halfway listen? I feel like they set themselves up to be disappointed.
The reality is, right, like, people are just looking for, especially if you're not doing this for work, you're really just looking for something to make you feel good about your new president or your new GM or whatever it is. That's the reality of the situation. Slap made them feel good. Write your own joke there. Like that to me is why you see them hold on to the sound bites over everything else. You know what I mean? Because the sound bites make you feel good. When you hear Bryson Graham go, we're going to do it the right way, and you heard AK go, we're going to do it the right way, it feels different, right? It's like that meme where it's like the good looking dude walks in and is like, hey, Susan, you look great today. And she's like, oh, thank you. Then the fat dude walks in. He's like, hey, Susan, you look great today. She's like, HR. That's what we got going on here. It's all about appearance. It's all about the look. Bryson Graham right now, to a lot of Bulls fans, looking good. AK, you better call HR. He's a little handsy.
That didn't actually respond to what I asked you at all. How did we get here? Like, wait, no, that's call HR on AK is hilarious.
Call HR. Don't let him back in the building.
That is funny. But with that said, the Zach Collins signing, 2 years, $17 million deal here. The second year being a team option. The fact that they signed this as an extension rather than using the room exception, it makes them immediately tradable, which people are bringing up. But it does also mean that they cut into their actual cap space to get this done. And Bulls fans are whining about. Here's the thing that I don't understand about this, Pat. We had a room exception to use. We had a certain amount of cap space to use.
Yep.
We still have the room exception to use. We use part of the cap. It's still the same amount. I get it that people, I think, still that was their last hope of thinking we were going to put all the cap space towards a big money free agent. We already knew that wasn't going to happen. When they made the trade for Nick Claxton, guess what? The Walker Kesslers, the Peyton Watsons, they were off the board at that point in time. Me and Pat told y'all this. We told y'all this. So the people that are having a whole meltdown, like, why would you eat into your cap space to sign Zach Collins? It's like, did you think we were going to sign Peyton Watson for $30 million? Denver would have matched that within the hour.
Yeah, I think what you're starting to realize too, and I think what Bryson Graham probably realized is, when I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but the Kings, Jalen Duren dream basically fell to the wayside because the Pistons were like, we're not letting them go to the Kings. By the way, are the Kings the hold on, we unlocked? Are the Kings the thought of the league?
Yeah,
Like
right now, yeah.
Everybody uses them to get what they want.
They're a sloppy bottom in the league. Absolutely, that you use them to get what you need, and then like that's it. Like literally,
That's so disrespectful for
anybody who's a restricted free agent just should be like, yeah, we're gonna go to the Kings to get an offer sheet, because then it's like, hey, at least you can get your deal the way you wanted to.
Well, it's exactly what Zach LaVine did. That's why I'm like, LaVine did this, DeMar did this. Like every player is like, you need something done? Go on over to the Kings. They'll take care of you real quick. They'll throw you a bad offer letter that your team is definitely gonna match. But no, like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I think Bryson Graham saw the landscape. Why I brought the Kings up there. I think Bryson Graham saw the landscape of how the restricted free agency is gonna go. What's the point in getting involved in it if most of the teams that are gonna match for all of the best players that you're going to get, right? I would be surprised, even with how things have gone, if Walker Kessler ends up out of Utah at this point, right? Like, because it seems like there's going to be a lot more matching throughout this process. So with all that said, you've still got to address your team. There are still free agents you can go out there and address it with. The Zach Collins signing, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm excited. I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to fake for y'all, right? And fake because I'm a Bulls fan. And that's the one thing that does irritate me is, you know, there's a lot of Bulls fans that are just like, any move Bryson Graham's make, you just got to trust it. I don't know. Personally, I don't like re-signing dudes that don't play. And the one thing about Zach Collins for the last 3 years, I believe it is, he hasn't finished the season. Now, he's got seasons where he's played 70 or 60 plus games.
No, he didn't start or finish the season for us last year. He was injured at the beginning and at the end. It was 100%. Games there in November.
He had 10 games in the middle. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, the previous seasons, right, he mostly just didn't finish the season out and wouldn't have been healthy if whatever team he was on had a playoff run. The reality is I don't like signing dudes that I know are going to be hurt. Mm-hmm. Zach Collins has shown me over the last 3 years, by the end of the year, he's probably going to be hurt. So does that mean now it comes with a player option? So realistically, this is a 1-year deal. Or I'm sorry, it comes with a team option. So realistically, this is a 1-year deal. If the Bulls want to pick it up, they can. If they don't have to. If Zach Collins plays healthy, Zach Collins is a dog on the court.
Yeah. When Zach Collins is healthy, he's a really good backup center. That's just
the problem is we always got to say when Zach Collins is healthy, exactly. And it kind of feels
that's the biggest.
Kind of feels like big man Lonzo Ball at this point.
Yeah, and I mean that's the biggest issue. The deal itself isn't an issue. It's the fact that, like, okay, if he's going to be healthy, cool, but there's that big if. I look at this too, and I say, like, to me, it's if you were going to do anything as far as a low risk deal, and it's I guess. $8.5 million is still low risk, I guess. In the grand scheme,
extremely low risk.
Like because when you look at it, like for example, me and you talked about Jock Landale. He's got $14 million. Robert Williams, who's a lot more injured than Zach Collins over his career, got 3 years, $44 million. That's
crazy.
The Bulls got a good value on backup center, and it just if Zach Collins plays 60 games, it's worth it. That's it. He played 64 games in 24-25 between us and the Spurs. If he can give you another one of those in 26-27, the deal's good.
And realistically, if he plays 60 games and the Bulls don't make the playoffs, right? Like, if it's the expectation right now on where this team is that you're not going to be one of the final 8 standing, that you're going to be competing to be in that spot, but you're probably not going to get all the way there in one season unless Caleb Wilson is everything that we've hoped he is and more right away, unless Matas Buzelis for sure takes a step. Josh Giddey, we know the kind of player that he is, and you know, Dalen Swain pans out a lot quicker than possible. So you're not talking about a player that you're going to be relying heavily on when you get to real contention in the future. And I think that's why I'm not as upset about the deal as I could be. I do feel like don't spend your cap on dudes you know are going to be hurt, but you can still go out and get all of the names that we have talked about that have been rumored to the Bulls that Bulls fans have felt good about. You can still go get a Max Strus if you want to add that to the team. You can still go get a Norman Powell if you want to add that to the team, right? In fact, all the money you got left probably could go to Norman Powell if you wanted to go that route, which it probably would have to if you wanted to convince him.
And then you still have the rest of your room exception to do some other things with. And here's the thing too, Pat, is real quick on this. Every center that's out there has backup center had injury issues.
Well, and the one you have on your team, I mean, depending on what you view Jalen Smith as, we've seen him play the 5, we've seen him play the 4, but no matter what world you're in, like, you weren't dealing in a great backup center world. I don't know what Noah Essengay is going to be with his new growth spurt. Are they expecting him to be a 5? Is he a skinny 4? I think there's a lot of, we made a move to bring back a player that when he's on the court, we know can be productive, because we've got a lot of guys that we don't know if they can be productive yet. Like Jalen Smith, when he's on the floor, he's fine. I would say he's productive as well. But we don't know anything about Noah Essengay yet. So you have to have something that is known for, as they said in the was that Boondocks they did that? There are known knowns and there are known unknowns.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have something that is known for your known unknown.
It's a signing. We'll see what the Bulls do.
It is a signing. That is how I feel about it.
It leaves them $20-ish million to throw at Norman Powell or something, that if that's what they want to do. But that'll get us into the next thing, because it wasn't just a quiet day for the Chicago Bulls, Pat. It was a quiet day around the NBA, and I have a idea why that is. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this. But before we get into that, we got to get to a message from one of our sponsors, and that is FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here. Every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift the momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now, FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on the match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. That's what I love about these tournaments. You can turn on a match between teams you don't normally follow, and suddenly one goal changes everything. The tension builds so quickly that you're invested before you even realize it. We've all seen those matches where it's scoreless for what feels like forever, and then one goal completely flips the game. Suddenly, everybody's pressing, the crowd comes alive, and the final 20 minutes become must-watch television. I've been looking for those matchups where both teams are aggressive offensively, because those games can open up fast. The more chances being created, the more exciting the match becomes from beginning to end. And now you get to benefit from each goal scored. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. Hey, what would be the NBA version of every goal pays? Because you can't do it for every basket. You can't do it for every three-pointer now with the amount of threes teams are taking. So it's like every dunk pays? Would that
every
be
block shot?
Every block shot? That would be a good one.
Block shot.
That'd be a good one.
That, which is tough if you got Wemby on your team.
That'd be the easy bet on that one. Bet every game for Wemby and Walker Kessler. Just bet every game.
Steal pays.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know a couple dudes in the hood that say that every time they go out.
I mean, because technically then for them, every steal does
every steal pays.
Every steal pays. All right, Pat. First day of free agency around the league. I wanted to talk about this kind of more league-wide, because there was a number of Bulls targets that signed to other teams on deals. A lot were overpaid. Jock Landale, $14 million to stay with the Atlanta Hawks. Robert Williams gets the $44 million over 3 years that we talked about. Our boy Mamu, who me and you both were kind of high on, he got 6.8 on his deal. Tim Hardaway got a decent deal. I think it's $7-ish million as well. But there have been no kind of the bigger swing, like the top and I know this wasn't ever a really deep free agent class, but the top free agents are all basically still available. The Walker Kesslers, the Anthony Simons, the Norman Powells, all those guys. But when you look at this, I personally think, Pat, this is quiet because teams are hoping, because LeBron is probably going to have to take the mid-level exception no matter where he goes. I think teams are now, if they think they have a slight of a chance to get LeBron at the mid-level exception, I think that's holding up. Not saying the Bulls should not be in on that at all. That's not what I'm saying. More so saying how the effect that's had on the league as a whole.
He wouldn't come here. We're not competing for a championship. But I wouldn't. As weird as it is to say, I think the player that I've described a ton kind of is LeBron now. And that's sad. I don't know if that's sad to say. He's 41, 42 years old. Not sad to say at all. The fact that he can be that player at this point, but somebody who's like just knows their role and is coming in. Like if he goes to Golden State, LeBron knows he's just the point guard on that team, like basically. He's just coming in trying to facilitate the ball to Stephen Curry, and every now and then I'm going to lay this mug up or I'm going to do an old school dunk. LeBron's at an interesting point in his career. Either way, we got a little breaking news here live on Locked On Bulls. Hold on.
Norman Powell has agreed to a 2-year, $45 million deal with the Chicago Bulls.
There we go. We changing the episode.
Let's go. All right.
We are live. Finally. This never happens to us.
Change right now. The Chicago Bulls get their guy, Pat.
Yeah.
Norman Powell, 2 years, $45 million deal. This is a deal that made so much sense.
Yeah.
Man, how are you feeling about this, Pat?
Listen, I like it. This is the kind of player that I asked for, right? Literally what I was about to just describe with LeBron, but definitely not in the same conversation here. But a player who knows his role and is going to come in and be a really good, depending on what the Bulls would play. I would assume he's going to come in here and play the 2 guard for the Bulls here moving forward. But somebody who can shoot the 3 ball well, who can be a solid catch and shoot guy, who can create his own shot if you need him to. I think also somebody who brings still some really good energy to the floor and can help these young guys in a major way. Remember, I know people forget it because it was a while ago. Norman Powell's an NBA champion, right? And he was a big part of that team going out there and winning that championship. He's also been in some really, really good playoff series. So helping these young guys learn to be pros, helping these young guys learn to win, that's what it all comes down to. And I'm really excited to have Norman Powell as a part of the Chicago Bulls. I think it's a good signing for the team. Now, 2-year 45 comes out to $22.5 million. So literally
basically all the Bulls remaining cap space. This is what we were just talking about. They save the remaining cap space for that. And again, this is why I say people don't react, because now what this does is you basically use your cap space for Zach Collins and Norman Powell, and it leaves you your full room exception at $9.5 million to do something else with.
Yeah.
Smart.
You still can go out there and add another piece. There's still an available roster spot open for you. You just saw what we talked about talent-wise, going for $6 to $8 million at $9.5 million. Now you're out on just about every conversation now, right? There is no Walker Kessler now. Everything else is done. But as far as going out there and getting another veteran role player, you still can do that. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Bulls end up doing. But at a minimum, you feel really, really good about the team that you have built around the young guys. Norman Powell being great does not matter. Zach Collins being great doesn't matter. Nick Claxton being great does not matter. Caleb Wilson, Modest Buzelis. If you want to throw Giddey in there because of his age, we could throw Giddey in there. Dalen Swain. They got to develop. And you had to go out and add a piece that was going to help them to develop. I think Norman Powell can be that piece.
Yeah, Norman Powell is a guy that I think brings a lot of exactly what the Chicago Bulls need as far as shooting. People have tried to act like he's like some chucker. He's never been that. He's been able to step up when his teams, the last 2 teams, and the Clippers and the Heat have needed, like those teams had no offense. They needed him to take a lot of shots.
Yeah, he was chucking a little bit on the Heat. I give him that.
Yeah, but he took out of 15 shots, 7.8 of those were 3-pointers. So almost half his shots were 3-pointers because guess what? The Miami Heat's offense was cheeks. They had no offense.
Yeah, it was all Bam inside, Norman Powell outside.
Yeah, so they had to do something. So, like, I think that Norman Powell's shown over his career that he's somebody that can, and Pat, somebody that had to develop into the 3-point shooter that they are, and could be a really good person for Dalen Swain to sit behind for 2 years.
Well, that's the biggest thing, right? To the mentorship, a player that I think was perfect for you to get for Dalen Swain was.
And I already know what you're doing because you're my brother. You're making your thumbnail for your live stream you about to do, ain't you?
No, I've got a graphic already prepared for Norman Powell stats. I had this for yesterday's episode, and I was actually going to try and drop it in and do, get a little update to it for Locked On Bulls so we could drop that on here.
I knew you were working on something. I know Pat's face when he's working on something. Oh, yeah, 100%. And I know when Pat's face when he know he's working on heat. Because when Pat's working on some heat, he gets locked in, bro.
But no, like for a player like Dalen Swain, I think this is going to be a massive get for the Chicago Bulls because you probably feel like you should be on the court. You probably feel like you should be the starting 2, which I would assume he's not going to be at this point now. You probably feel like, hey, like everybody else got this opportunity. Why haven't I gotten this opportunity? Welcome Norman Powell. Norman Powell probably felt like this his whole career. Muggs was surprised when Norman Powell was scoring at the level he was scoring when he finally got an opportunity to be a starter. They were like, dang, I know Norman Powell could play like that. He was on the bench for so long. Muggs didn't believe he had that in him.
He's come off the bench for like 3/4 of his career. Like Norman Powell being a consistent starter is just a recent thing. And like you said, he's probably felt like he could be a starter for a long time.
Yeah. So listen, I think this is a good move for the Bulls. I think this is one that it truly feels like when you want to applaud Bryson Graham, it feels like you've continued to make not the splash move, but the logical move very early on. Just, hey, like, we just want to have logic on this. We just want to have, can we get a player in here that knows his role and fits and helps develop the young guys? The Bulls are going down a path of development. The Bulls are going down a path of locking in on what you would assume is the number 4 pick in Caleb Wilson and Modest Buzelis. This is the kind of move that you do to do that. You don't go out and get a guy that could be the lead guy on the team with your remaining cap space. So I like this move for the Bulls overall.
And I think people forget too that the one thing that the Bulls do need, because again, they want to compete. They've said they want to compete. They need a guy who can go out and get a bucket when the game's on the line. Norman Powell can go out and get you a bucket.
Yeah, they definitely
can. That guy. So, and that's not to say that guys like Swain and other ones can't develop and stuff like that. But now I got to update this thumbnail on breaking news. I'm going to update that. But let's go ahead and get on the flip side of the last of this. We're going to say the last topic was the best free agent targets left, but let's continue talking about what Norman Powell now brings to this team right after this. All right, Pat. So Norman Powell officially now with the Chicago Bulls. So the starting lineup that I guess we're all projecting: Josh Giddey, Norman Powell, Modest Buzelis, Caleb Wilson, Nick Claxton. I'm not saying that this is a lineup that's going to win you 45 games or something, but I do think that starting lineup has balance. You got the orchestrator in Josh Giddey, right? Norman Powell, a guy that can score off ball as well. He doesn't have to be that. You got your defensive guys in Nick Claxton, of course, Caleb Wilson, and Tiago's also talked about that. Modest is a two-way player. He's going to push him to be more of that two-way player. Norman Powell isn't a slouch defensively. I wouldn't call him a great defender, not a slouch defensively, though. How do you feel about that balance in that projected starting lineup now, Pat?
Well, listen, I think what you have, number one, the part that is exciting, you got 2 pros on this offense in Josh Giddey and in Norman Powell, right? You can't forget about, I think I'm so high on Giddey's facilitating and what he can create for everyone. I truly do look at Josh Giddey as a guy that can raise the floor of just about any player that plays with him. So when you add Norman Powell into that mix, probably in the starting lineup, number one, you've got one of the taller lineups in basketball. Number two, I think that you're going to be able to facilitate the ball and create so many open looks for Norman Powell that we're going to see his game go in the right direction. On the flip side of that, I think that you've got a lot of youth running the floor, and it's going to be a very run and gun offense. And Norman Powell is probably going to have one of his most fun seasons that he has ever had in the NBA, outside of course, making deep playoff runs, just because these guys are going to look to run the floor and be a fast-paced offense. So yeah. I think he fits perfectly with what the Bulls want to do. And I'm very excited to see, how he fits in with Modest, how he plays off of Modest, because his shooting could be the perfect thing to unlock Modest's ability to get to the paint.
Agree with you. Like, you need spacing. You need spacing for those guys to develop. You need spacing for those guys to go to work. I like that starting lineup. But then the bench unit the bench unit still lacks some shooting on the bench unit. But like, you're looking at Trey, Jalen. They're definitely going to be there. Zach Collins, who we just re-signed. Dalen Swain, you got there as well. And then competing for minutes, of course, you got guys like Leonard Miller, Noah Essengay. Like, the Bulls got. Again, I'm not saying we're a 45-win team or anything, but for people that were worried that the Bulls are good, because I've seen a lot in the last 24 hours, we're going to be a bottom 3 team. We're going to be in the regulation zone, all that. I don't think that, like, in the Eastern Conference, I'm not saying they'll get it, but this is a team that could compete for the play-in this season.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that's crazy to say. And it means more, right? Like, I don't want to be in the play-in every year. I'm not big on being in the play-in every year. But if you get to the play-in because of Modest Buzelis, because of Caleb Wilson, it truly does just mean more. And I mean, when you add a player in like what Norman Powell has been, yeah, come on, dog. You see what it is. When you add a player in like what Norman Powell has been, I mean, 21 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game, and then shooting at 47% from the field, and at times 40+% from the 3-point line. I mean, you're feeling good about the asset that you just added.
They gave him Desmond Bane arms on that picture, though. They gave him Desmond Bain arms on that picture.
Nah, that's how his arms look. That's how his arms look.
But yeah,
Desmond Bain arms is crazy, dog.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good signing here. Now, this pretty much puts a cap on the Chicago Bulls free agency now. I mean, it doesn't necessarily, you can trade Isaac Okoro, you can look to trade some other guys, but for the most part, this is free agency for the team. We'll see what happens.
Here is the part that I do find interesting with all of this, right? And I would say, yeah, the Bulls are probably done in free agency. But if the goal is be as competitive as possible, win as many games as possible, I would say your first 15 to 20 Bulls fans do not expect much. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly. Like you've got two young guys that are going to be a massive part of your rotation trying to figure out how to play in the NBA. You've got Modest Buzelis, who's going to be trying to figure out how to be the lead guy while probably having a little bit of back and forth between him and Caleb Wilson on who is the lead guy. You've got Josh Giddey, who's trying to figure all of that out, and you've got Norman Powell, who's brand new to the team. It's going to take a second for all of this to gel. It is. It's probably going to take 20 to 25 games. But after those 25 games, which that may be what puts the Bulls out of playoff contention, I think that you're going to have a lot of fun watching this team once they lock in and once they all get on the same page, because it's going to be a run and gun team. It's going to be a team that can be very strong defensively with team defense, and it's going to be a team that, to me, actually can spread the floor enough for you to feel good about them now.
Exactly.
If they finish this season, right, if you start the season poorly and you're like 10-15 through the first 25 games, but then you finish strongly and get yourself to a 30, 36, 38 win team, I'm going to say that that's a successful first season of Bryson Graham and Tiago Splitter.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in for us, man. Make sure you guys follow us at Locked On Bulls. You can follow Pat at Pat the Designer. You can follow me at CEO Haize. Yeah, Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, and Fubo TV, meaning anywhere you want us, you can get it. We'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, y'all. Peace.
I think that's the first time we've caught breaking news live.
Yes, it was the first for Chicago Bulls. Yes, it was the first time.